Tim Saunders at Wells Fargo Center, where it's the Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. Our game day preview is brought to you by Power Back Rehabilitation. Flyers return home for the first time after that long 8-day, 4-game trip through Canada to take on Kimmo Timonen and the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. Flyers happy to get home after a trip that proved to be disappointing and frustrating. 0-2-2 in the 4 games, and in some regard that road trip highlighted some of the frustrations the Flyers have been plagued with all year long. They were in every game, but just unable to find a way to win any of the 4. Philadelphia losing in Edmonton in overtime on Saturday 5-4. So they got the offense going a little bit. Claude Giroux scored 2 goals in that game, his 20th and 21st of the season. Jake Voracek had a big game. He had 3 assists in that contest, and now is 1 point back of the NHL scoring lead with 73 points, 1 point back of John Tavares and Sidney Crosby. That top line also got a goal from Michael Raffl, who has 18 on the year. 17 of the 18 have been at even strength, and that leads the Flyers in that category. That first line was good and had more room against the Edmonton Oilers than they have had against pretty much anybody in the last month, and more room than they're likely to have against a good defensive Chicago Blackhawk team tonight. Tonight is really about, though, the return of Kimmo Timonen. The longtime Flyer spent 7 years here. 5 times he was named the team's Defenseman of the Year, the winner of the Barry Ashby Award. Of course, missed the season with blood clot issues, and shortly after he was cleared to return to active duty, the Flyers dealt him before the deadline to the Chicago Blackhawks for one last chance to make a long Stanley Cup playoff run in this his last season in the NHL. A rare opportunity for Flyer fans and really the Flyer team itself to acknowledge and recognize Kimmo Timonen for what he's meant to this franchise. Undoubtedly, he'll go down as one of the great defensemen in team history. His new club playing very well right now. They're 7-1-1 in the last 9 games. They're headed to the playoffs. They're 3rd in their division and 4 points back of Nashville for 2nd place in the Central Division. Of course, the top 2 teams in each division get home ice advantage in the playoffs. That's what Chicago is fighting for right now. Of course, they're doing it without their top player. Patrick Kane has missed the last month with a broken collarbone. It was expected he'd be out 12 weeks, so that means another 2 months. They would be late in a playoff run if he's able to make it back to the hockey club. Without him, guys like Jonathan Toews have picked it up to fill some of that offensive void, and Toews has been really hot of late. He's got 11 points in the 11 games since Kane went down and 7 goals in his last 15 overall. Chicago is one of the best defensive teams, though, in the NHL. They've given up 1 goal or less in 6 of their last 8 games, and a big reason for that has been their starting goaltender. Corey Crawford has played 8 of the last 9, expected to get the start tonight. He won his 30th game of the season on Monday in a victory over Carolina. He made 43 saves in that game. Steve Mason is expected to return to the Flyers lineup tonight. He's 8-1-3 in his last 12 games at home. Game time tonight is at 8 o'clock. You can see it on the NBC Sports Network or join us on the radio. Tim Saunders with Steve Coates on 93.3 WMMR. Our game day preview brought to you by Power Back Rehabilitation. For more information, visit powerbackrehabilitation.com.